Chosen one, you've been carrying a question for months, maybe longer. The question sounds like this: did I pass? Did God see what I went through? Did any of it matter? And here's what I need you to know. God saw, but what he saw wasn't what you think. You thought the test was about your faithfulness, your endurance, your ability to keep standing when everything around you was falling apart. And you're right, those things mattered, but they weren't what God was watching for, because 3 weeks into your test, something happened in the throne room that made every angel go silent. God was reviewing your journey, scanning through all the prayers, all the worship, all the moments you tried so hard to get right. And then he stopped, went back, isolated one moment, a moment you don't even remember. The angels leaned in, because when God pauses the timeline like that, when he rewinds to a single moment and says, "Wait, play that again," that moment just changed everything. And here's what breaks my heart. You've labeled that moment failure. You've spent months trying to forget it because it felt like weakness, like embarrassment, like proof you weren't strong enough. But while you were trying to erase it from your memory, God was doing something different. He was showing it to every angel in heaven. And at the end, after they'd all witnessed what you did in that moment, when you thought no one was watching, God said 5 words that sealed your next season. This is exactly what I needed to see. Not what you said in that moment, not what you felt, but what you did. Who you chose to be when you had nothing left to prove it with. And heaven has been talking about it ever since. But you don't even know which moment I'm talking about. You weren't searching for this message by accident. Something in your spirit has been restless for weeks, asking, did I do enough? Did God even notice what I went through? He noticed. And what he noticed has been replaying in the throne room like a scene that angels can't stop analyzing. There's a reason your attention found these words. A reason you're still here instead of scrolling past. A reason you feel something stirring in your chest right now. Divine intelligence orchestrated this moment because it's time you knew what you thought didn't matter, mattered most. Now, before I show you which moment God has on replay, I need you to understand something. This isn't going to be what you expect. You're probably thinking it was one of your strong moments, one of your faith-filled declarations, one of those times you stood up and chose God publicly. And I'll tell you about those moments because they do matter. But the moment that's on replay, the moment that qualified you for everything coming next, it's a moment you've been ashamed of. And by the end of this message, you're going to understand why that moment, the one you've tried so hard to forget, is the only moment heaven can't stop watching. I'm going to show you exactly what God saw. I'm going to help you identify which moment it was, and I'm going to give you a framework so you'll never again question whether God was paying attention to your hidden struggles. Because he was, he is, and what he saw changes everything about your next season. But I need something from you first. Subscribe right now. Not for me, but so you mark this moment as significant in your timeline. You'll want to come back to this day. Like this message, if your spirit is confirming what I'm saying is true, you'll feel it. A knowing, a recognition, and comment the word witnessed. Not for the algorithm, but as a declaration. I was seen even when I thought nobody was watching. Do that now, then come right back. Now let me tell you about a room in heaven most people don't know exists. It's not the throne room where worship happens 24/7. It's not the prayer room where intercession rises like incense. It's smaller, more intimate, more private. The angels call it the observation room. And in that room, there's something like a screen. Not a screen the way we think of screens, but something that displays moments from human lives. And right now, chosen one, there's one scene playing. Your scene. God isn't watching it alone. He's invited witnesses, angels who've seen thousands of human tests, thousands of human choices, thousands of moments of faith and failure, and they're watching your moment. They've seen it 40 times this month, and every single time it plays, the same thing happens: silence. Because what you did in that moment when you thought you were completely alone, when you thought it didn't count because nobody could see you, what you did has only been done by a handful of people in Scripture. Job did it once. David did it in a cave. Jesus did it in a garden. And you just did it in your bedroom, or your car, or your bathroom floor at 2 o'clock in the morning. You did something that made God lean forward and say to the angels, "Record this. I want this documented because this is exactly what I've been waiting to see from them." Now here's what you need to understand about how God watches. He doesn't watch watch the way humans watch. Humans watch duration, how long you lasted, how many times you prayed, how much you endured. God watches quality. Specifically, He watches for one moment that reveals who you truly are. Think about it like this. Your entire test could be a 2-hour movie, but God isn't judging the movie by its length. He's not even judging it by its ending. He's watching for one frame, 1/24th of 1 second, one instant where your true character, your actual core, shows up without any performance attached to it. And in your test, chosen one, He found that frame. You blinked and it was over. You probably didn't even register that it happened, but God caught it. And that frame told Him everything He needed to know about whether you're ready for the assignment He's been holding for you. Now, let me show you something in Scripture that most people miss. Psalm 139, verse 2 and 3. David writes, "You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways." Most people read that and think, okay, God watches everything I do. Cool. But look at that word, familiar. In Hebrew, it's the word sakan. And sakan doesn't mean God glances at your ways. It means God keeps a detailed diary about your ways. Like a researcher documenting every movement of a rare species. Like a father recording every milestone of his first child. Like someone who doesn't just observe, but studies, analyzes, treasures. God isn't casually watching you. He's keeping a journal about you. Every moment, every choice, every 3-second decision you made when you thought it was just you in the room. Documented, recorded, treasured. And in that journal, chosen one, there's one entry that has a star next to it. One moment that God has highlighted, underlined, circled in red. The moment you don't remember. The moment that qualified you. So, here's the question we need to answer. Which moment is it? How do you identify the one moment out of thousands that God has isolated as significant? Because I can't just tell you which moment. Your moment is different from everyone else's moment. The specific details, the specific location, the specific choice you made. That's unique to you. But what I can do is give you a framework, a way to recognize which type of moment God pays attention to versus which type of moment humans pay attention to. Because here's what you need to understand. There are 3 types of witnesses to everything you do. 3 levels of observation, and God only promotes people based on one of those 3 levels. Level 1, human witnesses. This is when people saw what you did. Your faith was public. Your choice was visible. Your obedience was observed by other humans. Example, you stood up in church and gave your testimony. You posted about God on social media. You had a conversation where you defended your faith in front of others. These moments feel significant because people saw them. You have human validation, human applause, human recognition. And listen, these moments matter. I'm not saying they don't count, but these moments earn you earthly reward, human respect, social credibility. They don't earn you heavenly promotion. Level 2, evidence witnesses. This is when you did something that left proof, even if no human saw you do it. Example, you gave money anonymously, but there's still a receipt. You completed a degree nobody knew you were working on. You built something in secret, but now there's a finished product. These moments feel valid because there's evidence. Even if nobody watched you do it, you can point to the result and say, see, I did this. These moments give you personal validation, proof that you weren't lazy, proof that you followed through. And again, these moments matter, but they still don't earn you heavenly promotion. Because God doesn't need evidence to believe you. He was there when you did it. Level 3, heaven witnesses. This is when only God saw what you did. No human observers, no physical evidence left behind. Nothing you can point to, nothing you can prove. If someone asked you to verify it happened, you couldn't. It's your word and God's presence. That's it. Example, the choice you made at 2 o'clock in the morning when you were completely alone. The moment in your car when no one could see your face. The prayer you whispered that you never told anyone about. The 3 seconds where you chose to stay connected to God instead of cursing Him even though you had every human right to curse Him. These moments feel like they don't count because nobody witnessed them, but that's exactly why they count most. Because here's what God knows that humans don't. Character is only truly revealed when there are no witnesses. Anyone can perform faith when people are watching. That's not faith, that's performance. Anyone can obey when there's evidence to show for it. That's not obedience, that's investment in your reputation. But who you are when no one is watching, when there's no evidence, when there's no applause, when it's just you and God, and you make the choice to stay faithful anyway, that's your true self. And God only promotes based on your true self, not your performed self, your true self. Look at 1 Samuel 16:7. The prophet Samuel is looking at David's brothers thinking, surely one of these impressive-looking men is the next next king. And God says, "Do not consider his appearance or his height. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." Now catch this. That phrase, looks at, in Hebrew is ra'ah. And ra'ah doesn't mean a quick glance. It means to see with understanding, to gaze intently, to examine thoroughly. God doesn't glance at your heart. He studies your heart. And what he's studying for is this: who are you when the externals are stripped away, when there's no audience, no evidence, no validation coming? Who are you then? And chosen one, you had a level 3 moment, a moment where only heaven witnessed what you did. And in that moment, when you thought it didn't count because nobody saw it, you made a choice that revealed your true character. And God said, that's what I needed to see. Not your level 1 moments, not your level 2 moments, your level 3 moment, the moment nobody else knows about. Now here's what we need to do next. We need to identify which level 3 moment God has isolated as your qualifying moment. Because you've probably had dozens of level 3 moments, hundreds of times when you were alone with God and made a choice. But there's one that stands out, one that heaven can't stop replaying. And to find it, you need to understand something about where these moments happen. Because forgotten moments don't happen just anywhere. They happen in specific locations, at specific times, under specific conditions. And once you understand the geography of forgotten moments, you'll be able to identify yours. That's what we're going to do next. So, let me show you something most people never notice about the moments God watches most carefully. They don't happen just anywhere. Forgotten moments, level 3 moments, the moments that only heaven witnesses. They happen in very specific places. And once you understand where they happen, you'll be able to walk backwards through your memory and locate yours. There are 3 locations where forgotten moments occur, and I'm willing to bet that when I describe these places, one of them is going to make something in your chest tighten, because your body remembers, even if your mind has tried to forget. The first location is the car. Not driving, parked. You're sitting in your car, but you're not going anywhere. Engine might be running, might be off, but you're just sitting there. Could be your driveway, could be a parking lot, could be the side of the road. And here's what makes this location significant. It's private enough to break down, but public enough that you have to keep some level of composure. You can't scream in your car the way you can scream in your house. Someone might walk by, someone might see. So what happens in the car is this controlled braking, this contained collapse. Your hands gripping the steering wheel even though you're not driving. Your forehead pressed against it, your breathing getting shallow. And the choice you make in that car, when you're suspended between going back inside and driving away from everything, that choice reveals something. The second location is the bathroom, specifically the floor. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. Everyone else is asleep. You told yourself you were just getting water, but then you ended up in the bathroom with the door locked, and you're not standing. You're sitting, back against the tub or the wall, knees pulled up or legs stretched out, lights off, or maybe just the nightlight, just enough light to see your own hands in front of you, but not enough to feel fully exposed. And here's why this location matters. The bathroom is the only room in most houses with a lock. It's the only place you can go where no one can suddenly walk in on you. When someone goes to the bathroom at 2 o'clock in the morning and doesn't come back out for 30 minutes, people assume you're sick. They don't check on you. So the bathroom floor becomes the place where people go when they can't hold it together anymore, when they need to be alone with God, or alone with their thoughts, or alone with their breaking point. And the choice you make on that floor when you finally stop pretending and just let yourself be whatever you actually are in that moment, that's when your true self shows up. The third location is the edge. By edge, I mean threshold places. Could be a window you're staring out of. Could be a balcony or porch you're standing on. Could be a doorway where you're just frozen. 1 foot in the room, 1 foot in the hallway. Not fully in either place. Edge moments happen at transition points. And what makes if you had a moment in one of these 3 locations, a car moment, a bathroom floor moment, an edge moment, a moment where you were completely alone and thought no one could see you, that moment is exactly the kind of moment God pays attention to. Because those are the locations where people stop performing and start being real. Now let's narrow it down even further, because you've probably had multiple moments in these locations. Multiple car moments, multiple bathroom moments, multiple times staring out a window. So we need to identify which specific moment God isolated as your qualifying moment. And to do that, we need to look at timing. Forgotten moments don't just happen in specific places, they happen at specific times, usually between 2 and 4 in the morning, the hours when your defenses are down, when you're too tired to maintain the mask, when you've run out of strength to pretend. There's a reason that's called the witching hour. There's a reason people have spiritual encounters at that time, because that's when the separation between your performed self and your true self is thinnest. And forgotten moments also happen at the end of something, not the beginning, not the first week of your test, not the first month. They happen when you've been in it so long that you've exhausted every strategy, every prayer, every method you know. They happen when you've already tried everything and nothing worked. And here's the other thing about forgotten moments. They happen after you've already made a decision, not while you're making it. They're not the moment you chose to stand strong. They're the moment after you stood strong and then collapsed in private, because standing strong took everything you had. They're not the moment you declared faith publicly. They're the moment later that night when you whispered to God, "I don't know how much longer I can keep declaring faith like that." The forgotten moment is the aftermath moment, the moment when the adrenaline wears off and you're left with just yourself. So now you have the filters: location, car, bathroom, or edge, time, late night or early morning, probably between 2 and 4. Position in your test, near the end after you tried everything. Sequence, after a public moment, not during it. Now think back through your test with those filters in place. Can you see it starting to come into focus? And here's what I'm sensing. I think the moment God has on replay is connected to one of your public moments of strength. One of those times where you stood up, where you chose God visibly, where you made the hard choice and everyone could see you make it. Because here's how these tests usually work. There's a big public moment where you have to take a stand, and everyone's watching, and you do it. You stand, you declare, you choose faith, and that moment matters. That moment is recorded. God saw that. But what God was really watching for was what you did 3 hours later after everyone went home, after the lights went out, after you were alone. Did you maintain that same faith when no one was watching? Or was the public faith just a performance? Let me paint a specific picture for you and see if this resonates. Think back through your test. Was there a moment where you had to stand strong publicly? Maybe it was choosing to worship even though your circumstances hadn't changed. Maybe it was making a faith declaration in front of people who were skeptical. Maybe it was standing up for what you believed even though it cost you something relationally or financially. Whatever it was, there was probably a moment where you took a visible stand for God. And in that moment, you felt the weight of it. You felt people watching. You felt the significance. Your voice might have cracked a little, but you kept going. Your hands might have been shaking, but you held steady. Your chest was tight, but you pushed through. And when it was over, people probably told you how proud they were, how inspired they were, how much faith you had. And here's what I'm seeing. That moment, that public moment of strength, that's probably the moment you think is the moment God has on replay. That's the moment you remember. That's the moment you've been pointing to as evidence that you passed. And you're not wrong to remember it. That moment did matter. But can I tell you something that's going to surprise you? That wasn't the moment that qualified you. That was the moment that set up the moment that qualified you. Because here's what happened after that public moment. You went home, or you got in your car, or you went to your room, and the adrenaline wore off, and you were left alone with yourself and with God. And something happened in that alone moment that you've never told anyone about. Something you've actually been ashamed of. Because in that moment, you didn't feel strong anymore. You didn't feel faith-filled. You felt exhausted. You felt empty. You felt like you just used up everything you had, and you had nothing left. And in that moment, you made a choice. A quiet choice. A private choice. A choice that left no evidence. And that choice, chosen one, is what's on replay in heaven.